scrap that. We were determined to do some kind of video with there been 10 days between games, and we decided we'd take you, never mind the banks of the River Tyne, we'd take you to the mouth of the River Tyne for a lovely picturesque video, but it just ended up being a disaster, didn't it?
Yeah.
As you'll have just seen at the start of this video. We tried, but we've had so many complaints about the sound as well.
Yeah, we didn't want to risk it.
That we've thought we'll just retire the car. So we might be in a slight angle here. We managed to slot this camera in.
We've been doing this for 10 minutes.
We'll probably spend more time trying to get this camera straight than what we actually will talking about football. But it's good to see you guys too. I'm sure you'll be struggling through without Newcastle United games to look forward to as well. What are we going to talk about today, Jordan?
Well, Europe feels like a distinct possibility again, which is probably a good place to start after Saturday. We were talking before, Liam. Newcastle are 10 points behind Spurs, but as you rightly pointed out in a phone call to me yesterday, it disrupted half of my working day. That
as ever,
by the time Tottenham next play, Newcastle could actually be 4 points behind them. It's
just the way the sequence of results. There was lots of people in the comments. If you go back to the live, any of you guys watching might have been involved in that live the other day. There's so many people saying we can catch Spurs, and I was kind of batting it away like this is just silly talk, like the common sense in us.
Yeah.
And then it was only after the game that I looked and thought, actually, there's method in this madness. I can see where people are coming from saying it's possible. Now, it still has to be categorised in the most unlikely of unlikely things. But Newcastle played Crystal Palace away and Sheffield United at home before Tottenham next kick a ball. 10 points. If Newcastle United keep on this sort of vein of form, 10 points could become 4 by the time Tottenham play Arsenal in a North London derby. Talk about pressure. Almost the way what I created to last season very much felt like can you remember that when Liverpool started threatening to breathe down Newcastle United's necks at the back end of last season, and it was almost like, oh, it's Liverpool, they might catch up, and they never quite did. I'm pretty sure they got it to that point where it was maybe 3-4 points, and if they'd won a game in hand it would have went down to 1 or 2, and it was panic stations at one point. But Newcastle held firm and obviously pushed on and kicked on again towards the end of that season. It's almost like now we need to show them some kind of remarkable it needs to be remarkable form to turn it around. But I can see you've got Tottenham's fixtures up there, and it is they've got 6 games left, but 4 of those games are very tough.
Yeah, well, the ones on paper that are easy are Burnley and Sheffield United. So obviously relegation.
2 of the last 3.
They could be down by then if results go against them. But the other teams you mentioned Arsenal there, they've also got Chelsea away, Liverpool away, Manchester City at home.
I know.
Whereas
they play all the top 3.
Newcastle's hardest fixture on paper is probably Manchester United. So the fixtures, if you compare the two, Newcastle actually got easier running. So it's mad to think that for all the troubles and injuries they've had this season, with 6 games left, there's actually a possibility, and I say a very small possibility, that Newcastle could actually I can't even speak here. They could go above Tottenham. Now, will it happen? Probably not, but no. I just think it's quite remarkable that we're in a situation where you think it could.
It's mad that with 6 games left, they're actually not ruled out of the Champions League race altogether. I mean, look, this also has to be caveated with the idea that a lot depends on what happens between now and the end of the season with regards to English football. So this week is a big week with regards, if Manchester City beat Real Madrid, you'd need that to happen. You almost need English football to kick itself up the backside this week after a tough week last week to realign itself with getting 5 Champions League places. This is much in the idea that England will get 5. There is no guarantee of that, of course. But that we're even talking about it just shows how much of a remarkable turnaround it's been in recent weeks, doesn't it? I don't think anybody saw this coming.
I know, because people that have watched this channel are banged on about it for months, saying, the lack of consistency is why Newcastle United at the time were 10th sort of, and look to go no higher really. Since the international break, it's 3 wins and a draw, unbeaten. Now that's consistency.
Yeah.
You look back at the Everton game, it's probably disappointing they didn't win that. You can go back to it and think it could have been 4 wins from 4. Paul Dummett hadn't decided a rugby tackle.
It would have been 8 points.
I know. And then
you don't know. Like what I said to you on the phone yesterday,
yeah.
right? So it's ifs, buts, and maybes. You just don't know if they would have then went and won at Fulham if they had have beaten Everton. You just don't know how that changes the approach, individual mindsets. It can have even the slightest alteration in those things can make for a different set of results. But that Paul Dummett WWE move.
Yeah.
And it could have been 8 points. It could have been dropping to 2 points before Tottenham play Arsenal.
I know.
Silly talk. This seems.
It is.
Please don't think the Geordie journalists have lost their heads here. And maybe we'll have, but we've been criticised at times. For, well, me in particular, saying, "Oh, does he take the negative stance?" I've gone full circle. I'm absolutely piling on, saying, "Why not? Why not with this team playing so well?" I think momentum's a huge thing in football for me. And if they carry that momentum into Crystal Palace, of course, who'll have their own mini little bit of momentum. Yeah. Having beaten Liverpool at Anfield.
They've got a game before Newcastle having the Palace. That's a home game.
I'll have to check that.
So I'm going to quickly check that while so you keep on talking.
I watched that game and look, it was a tremendous performance and it could potentially have a galvanising effect on the Palace dressing room, but I still didn't see anything to fear.
Well, it's a big game actually in terms of Newcastle West Ham at home for Crystal Palace at the weekend. So Crystal Palace might have a big say on the European race. Yeah. West Ham at home and Newcastle.
We've got Man United and Wolves
and Villa.
Yeah. Quite a tough run.
Well, the thing about Villa hadn't beat Arsenal, there would have been 10 points on Villa as well, but it looks like, to be fair, going off topic, but Villa are excellent against Arsenal on Sunday. But if they hadn't won that, then you might have been looking at Villa going, actually, can you catch them? I know catching Spurs and Villa is really unlikely, but as we're saying, it just shows sort of the turnaround they've had in recent weeks, one we didn't see coming at all.
But even if that doesn't happen, Jordan, for me, the big thing about that month since the international break, however long it's been, the 4 games, is just, at no point, and I mentioned this in the video that we did post-match at St James's Park, and I'll go into a bit more depth now, there was no point during December, January, February, March that, I'll be honest, I really believed that they would do it. I always felt
all the same.
I always felt there was like some turn of adversity would force them to struggle, more injuries would come along and it may still derail what they're doing. Just little things in games where you're like, it just isn't our year this year, could anything else go wrong? But much credit to the manager, to his coaches, to all the players who, despite all of that, have never lost that feeling and that faith that things will turn for them. And it shows what hard work and a good bit of organisation can do for you, with obviously having levels of quality in that squad, who the 2 main bits of quality have, touch wood, remained fit recently. And I think that makes a big difference. Having Alexander Isak, who is the best striker at the moment in English football, in my opinion, probably only Ollie Watkins can probably have a say on that, I would say, at the moment. And Bruno Guimaraes, who apart from Rodri, in my opinion, is the best in his position.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And he's up there in world football as the best in his position. And as I mentioned in the video on Saturday, he's Newcastle's best attacking midfielder and best defensive midfielder, and in my opinion, the best player. So no, I think it's just incredible. One thing I want to mention in particular is that Eddie Howe, because we've called him out when there's been...
Yeah, I was about to say that, yeah.
We've called him out when there's been issues, which is only fair, because that's what we're here for, to be critical friends of anything that this football club does. As I've mentioned previously before, I don't care who the manager is. I don't care who the owners are, really. I don't care who the players are in any respect. I have favourites. Everyone has the people, a player they fall in love with, a manager, or the ownership that they're positive about or negative about, whatever stage it may be. But at the end of the day, I just want black and white shirts, Newcastle United to win a game, and to win a trophy and to do well. So it doesn't matter to me any of that. Thing is, got to call it right when Eddie Howe does something really right, because we'll call it wrong when he does it wrong. That was the tactical stuff at the weekend.
Oh yeah, it was so
top
fascinating.
Class.
It was, yeah. Because the one thing I criticised Eddie Howe for, and I'll openly admit it, was through the injuries, it was the same system, and you were playing players that weren't necessarily suited that position.
Yep.
And I want to see more adaptation. I want to see a changing system because if you've got a squad of players, find a system that works for the players. He didn't do it at the time, but to be fair, he stuck by his method. But I say the game on Saturday was fascinating, the way they set up. The team sheet at the start on Newcastle's Twitter, and it was all in order of numbers. Usually they put it in no order of positions. Didn't do that. I think even at the start as well, I seen it mentioned somewhere that to even put Spurs off, they were warming up on the pitch with a back four.
You did, yeah.
All that stuff to knock Spurs, and then when you look at the system, it was so fluid. What it was like, it was a back three of Dan Burn, Fabian Schär, Emil Kraft, and it was Jacob Murphy was pushed up. Elliot Anderson was on that left hand side, a midfielder, a wing back.
He was everything.
He was everything, and it was, I think, it blew Spurs away in many ways, because looking at that team sheet like we were, Hans Proskauer was thinking, what they're doing here?
Yeah.
And then the way that they sort of went man for man with Spurs, it was fascinating.
The front three it was Schär went with Son, absolutely pocketing him, as he can do, the quality that he's got. And the other two, Brennan Johnson got one run in the first half at Dan Burn, but that was about it. And Emil Kraft did that hybrid role on the right, which seemed to suit him really well.
Yeah.
And Elliot Anderson, it was Anderson and Murphy, as people have all analysed. It's out there. Almost they went man for man on the two fullbacks. So Udogie never got an inch off Jacob Murphy on that side, and then Pedro Porro, who hasn't got a great record at St James's Park. It's fair to say. He was man marked to a large extent by Elliot Anderson, which was a really alien role for a player like that, who has grown up all the way through his youth career being an attacking midfielder, who creates things. A number 10 in some respect, to have been asked to play like a full left-hand side defensive role, and to have done it and probably had his best game in black and white doing it, just shows that the quality of player that Newcastle could have on their hands there. But no, I thought Eddie Howe was a caps off moment, that. Because I've been the same with you. At times I've wanted to see some tactical nuance, I've wanted to see some changes, adaptations to suit the players that are available. That week they had on the training pitch in the run up to that game to produce that kind of man for man, and then it's okay having these ideas, but in a man for man, all it takes is for one person's concentration to drop off for a moment, and the whole thing's ripped up and you have to start again. They all delivered it perfectly. It was one of the most complete performances Newcastle have put in under Eddie Howe. There was more positives to that game than the one that beat them 6 last year, because that was almost just brutal attack and prowess, where they just went for the jugular and never took the pressure off.
They caught Spurs at a good time as well, didn't they? Because I had the interim manager in charge, Stellini, who, for an opposition team, I've never seen an opposition team ever lose it like that at St James's Park, when they were 5-0 down and Harry Kane's on the sidelines going, what's going on here? The interim manager's looking around these players. I've never seen a collapse like that. But at the weekend, Spurs came into the game as favourites, played very good football this season, looked a shoe-in for Champions League, and were, in many ways, Newcastle had 27% possession, but didn't. Although it felt like that, but it felt like Newcastle were dominant and they were rampant. So yeah, I agree. It was one of the most complete performances in terms of, because lack of bodies as well. You think about the players that they have available, 12 or 11 players out currently, to coach that system in the space of 5 days. It's credit Eddie Howe and credit the players as well. So everything about that performance at the weekend was incredible in many ways.
So here's a thought. You'll know more than this than me, being in with Eddie Howe quite often. Do you get the sense there might be players back? And if there is players back for Crystal Palace, I was thinking about this today. If he's got Livramento and Trippier, because I think Trippier sounds like he's possibly the next one. If he's got Livramento and Trippier available, what's your back four, which you'll probably go back to against Crystal Palace?
Yeah, I mean, players that are playing well, do you keep them in? But like Trippier and Livramento, or especially Trippier, is top class, isn't he?
He comes back in for me.
He does, which is harsh on Emil Kraft, because what game did he come on? West Ham came on and then was hooked off again. But from probably...
It's been a little mini redemption for him, hasn't it?
Yeah, because I thought he was...
He was awful in that game. Let's not be...
Yeah, he was, and that's why he came back off. I know Eddie Howe wouldn't have said that afterwards, but he came off because he didn't play very well. But from then, really, I thought Everton built, and then Fulham was pretty much playing against two wingers against Fulham, because Robinson was bombing on, Willian as well. Jacob Murphy wasn't to be seen in that game, by the way. Samuel Craft in that game was excellent, and then at the weekend as well to play a centre back role was great. So credit to him. I think he has his critics, but I think it just takes him a few games to get going, doesn't it?
Aye.
Because he was out for a long time.
He was.
And then before he was out, he had that great end of the season in Trippier's absence. So it's good to see he's a player that can come in, but of course Trippier is a man, and if he's back available, then yeah, he's straight in for me.
Do you put Livramento back in? Because I was thinking about this today. I would be tempted to go with putting Dan Burn back at centre half.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Put Dan Burn back at centre half with Fabian Schär. Put
you
Trippier right back and put Livramento back at left back.
For me, you don't put Dan Burn back as an out and out left back now in a back four.
Yeah.
I think at the weekend it was different because he pretty much was a centre half. He has to stay in that central defence position, because since going there, he's been outstanding.
He has.
Absolutely outstanding. So for me, he has to.
He took the armband on and worn it with pride, hasn't he?
So I've done a little piece this week. For me,
Newcastleworld.com, check it out.
Yeah, he's just a leader and a role model in so many different ways. And I'm on about he's off the pitch, like coming back in 6 weeks with a broken back, even though he's not there for two to 3 months. Outstanding. Shows his commitment to the team, his passion for the club, will to do well, and then everything else as well. Even the stuff at the weekend with
the sign language and the
it's little touches like that. That you said it was a beautiful moment. You see the light on that little lass's face.
I know.
It was beautiful, and he does everything on the pitch. Done that ever so well after coming under criticism. He's done that so well in recent weeks. Off the pitch is forever a leader, and just seems like a generally sound bloke.
Looks like it. No, but if he's playing besides all of that, for me, when he's playing centre half, he looks like a bloody good Premier League centre half. Like at left back, it was really sketchy.
Yeah, it was.
It was almost like you're waiting for the next error, or you're waiting for the next pacey winger who's got a step up and go around him, or the next ball over the top when he's quite narrow and got no cover in front of him. Centre half, he knows exactly where he's meant to be. He knows exactly what's around him. Doesn't have to do anything complicated. Just plays the simple pass and wins it when he has to win it.
Yeah.
I just think it's unfair on him to put him. He can only be a real reserve left back if they need one. It's either going to have to be a position they address in the summer, if they can, or all the eggs go in the basket of Lewis Hall and say is he the man to take it forward. Of course, still young and inexperienced.
I wonder if he comes back in the team now, because he obviously dropped out because he had an injury. I wonder if Livramento you mentioned there. I wonder if Eddie Howe goes back to the two fullbacks of Trippier and Livramento and Lewis Hall as that sort of player off the bench again.
Yeah, I think it feels that way, doesn't it?
Possibly, but I think to be fair, in the games that Lewis Hall's played, I think he's done all right.
I thought he had a tough day at Fulham.
He did. He came up against Iwobi.
Iwobi gave him a good go.
And then just as you're tiring, Adama Traore comes up.
Yeah. I'm feeling like we're going a little bit Blair Witch Project here.
Yeah, well.
It's getting darker and darker around when all you can probably see these glowing heads. Should I try and turn the light up?
Yeah, you could try.
See what this does to it.
No, it's fully dark now.
Oh. This is what you come for, the Geordie Journals. Is that better?
It's a
I don't know if it is. This is exactly what you come for. Oh.
We're right on your screen now.
We are. So it was always sound problems you had. Now you've got a bit of a lighting issue. We'll do our best. We'll promise to be better next season, don't we?
We will. Yeah. We're gonna invest in some tech, aren't we, for the new season.
We will. We'll put potentially new membership money towards getting some mics and some.
Yeah.
Although we had mics today, but
they didn't manage the wind.
No, they couldn't.
Nor did the tripod.
The tripod, as you'll have seen at the start, blew over just as we were about to start recording the video. So no Dom Skir, of course, with her. So we won't steal his thunder. We know he's desperate to do a European permutation.
Well, as we speak now, Dortmund are 2-0 up against Atletico Madrid, which is, in terms of, without going into it too much, Germany. It's between England and Germany for that second spot, which guarantees an extra place in the Champions League if that result goes that way. And the likes of
Leverkusen and West Ham, Arsenal and Bayern Munich. It's another big week in a sense, not just because of the European stuff, but
the FA Cup as well.
The FA Cup matters. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so, I mean, the teams that are left in, 3 of the teams that are left in are below Newcastle. So you've got Coventry City, obviously Championship, and then you've got Manchester United, and the other one is Chelsea. So Manchester City are still there. If you're a Newcastle fan, you're probably going to cheer on Manchester City in the coming weeks, because you could actually find yourself in a predicament. I think I'm right in saying this, that if Newcastle were to finish 6th ahead of Manchester United, who finished 7th, Manchester United went and won their FA Cup, they would actually get Europa League. Newcastle would drop into the Conference League. I think I'm right in saying
so the way
I wrote a piece on this, so I should know this.
So the way it stands at the moment is the top 4 are Champions League. 5th is as it always is. 5th is the Europa League place, which goes to the league position.
Yeah.
6th at the moment is Conference League, because Liverpool are guaranteed to finish already in a European place.
They're guaranteed top 4 already.
Are they guaranteed?
Top 4 already. Yeah.
So they're guaranteed Champions League next season.
Yeah.
So because they won the Carabao Cup, that goes to the league as well. So it's 6th place gets Conference League, which the Carabao Cup winner normally takes that position in England. But hasn't happened, has it? Last few years, because teams. Man United had it last year by finishing the Champions League. That's why I went to the league, didn't it?
Yeah.
I try to forget that day as much as I possibly can sometimes. We'll have one day.
Yeah, hopefully.
We will.
Shall we?
Yeah, so at the moment that is a possibility if Manchester United or Chelsea, whoever it may be, manage to be one of the teams, or Coventry, then it would drop down to the division below.
Yeah.
What a story that would be if they could do something like that.
I know.
I know. Think of the troubles they've had, Coventry.
I know.
I mean, we're off on tangents here, but
we have.
What a story!
Kicked out the Rico Arena for several years, playing at Northampton. I think they played all a couple of grounds as well.
Good, decent club as well, decent sized
club.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, you probably won't remember. But I remember in the Premier League.
I remember Robbie Keane up front for Coventry for.
Yeah, he was. Newcastle signed Craig Bellamy from there after they got relegated.
Was it?
Sure they did.
I'm thinking Norwich, but no, it was Coventry. I think he. Why am I thinking Norwich?
You are. Oh.
I'm gonna have to check this.
No, he was at Norwich first, wasn't he?
Yes, no, but they did sign from
just
Coventry.
Just check that. I'm sure they signed him from Coventry.
Our facts today.
It's a good job we've got Google here in the car. This would be no good out in the wind.
The extra phone to allow me to Google all these things. They did sign from Coventry, but he was at Norwich before that, so we're sort of.
Right. We'll get there. Right, you know you come for the waffle. You don't come for this kind of. You don't get this kind of content elsewhere on YouTube on this show, do you?
No.
We're pretty unique at the Geordie Journos, and I think we've gone all around the houses. We've managed to probably pull together 25 minutes with no plan, no script, no idea what we're going to talk about when we press
Hence
record.
The waffling of players and going on tangents, etc. Well, we did get on a good subject there in terms of the European permutations, but as you mentioned, Dom is a expert / geek in that field, so we're not going to do a video on that until Dom is with us. But there could be a lot of movement this week in terms of the European games, like your West Hams and Liverpool potentially going out, Arsenal drawn with Bayern Munich, Manchester City drawn with Real Madrid. So a lot of moving parts. But we will do a video on that when Dom is here.
If they all go out this week, it might not even be worth doing a video because
it just
there may be no permutations anymore.
I have a feeling Manchester City might be carrying the flag both in Europe and in the FA Cup for Newcastle United.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule out Villa as well in terms of the coefficient.
They should win that. They should win the Conference League. It feels like they're going to anyway.
Yeah. There is hope yet. Strange, isn't it?
It is.
Manchester City in many ways hold the the hopes and dreams of every team almost, from 4th place down to 13th when I look today, who will all at some point feel, oh, we'll put a run together, we might get in there, or whatever stage they may be at, all the way down to, I don't know, who was 13th, someone like Wolves or somebody like that, or all those teams down the second, in the bottom half of the division. So yeah, we'll try and be better in terms of lighting next time. We maybe won't choose to do this late on when we were meant to already be in the pub watching the Champions League.
I know, yeah, I know.
But for our plan of recording outside being curtailed.
As you see at the start.
You did.
We did try.
We did.
But
we'll always try.
We do.
We don't always win, but you'll always get 100% effort from us.
we'll be better, certainly from next season.
Yeah.
I think.
We're going to put together a proper plan. We've walked into this YouTube game with no clue what we're doing. We've had so many complaints about noise, now lighting. This is going to get so many complaints. But we'll try. We're learning on the job, and we appreciate all the feedback and everything that you guys do, and get involved and chat and like and share and comment, and do click the bell to subscribe as well. So, Jordan, I think that's about it, isn't it?
Yep, definitely. I think we'll be around the houses. We just want to do a video because there's no football this weekend, so.
And we like talking.
We do, yeah, as you can tell. We love it.
So we may as well record it while we're chatting away about something. We don't normally hang around in car parks and
I do. Like my last 2 solo anyhow pre-match post.
Yeah.
Post.
I don't know if you've ever done one lurking around in a council car park with dodgy lighting
with a makeshift
at night.
Light. No, I've never.
We'll have to make sure there's no taps on the window, because that's not what we're here. That's not what we're here for. Right. You came for the waffle, and you got it tonight. Whether it was light, dark, windy, whatever, you got it. You got it. And we appreciate everything that you guys do. Thanks for watching. We'll try and have a bit of a better video towards the end of the week with hopefully the 3rd Geordie journal, Dominic Sker, involved too. Right. That's a lot. Like, comment, share and subscribe for all your Geordie Journals content.